Good morning, guys. It's Russell with Semper Adventures. We really haven't posted a lot of stuff on YouTube lately. Been kind of busy. Been busy with our 3-week trip to Utah and back, all the way from North Carolina. And we spent a lot of time working on the trailer beforehand. But as we're traveling, we realized there were some things that we needed to change. Specifically things like this. It's a little dark in here. Whoa, whoa. So, lighting is one of the things that we really had to change. So I added these, I guess, what do you call them? These off-road lights. Same kind of lights you put on your vehicle. One of the things that, besides the lights, that we really think we needed to do is kind of revamp our power system. So previously what I did is I have one AGM battery with 4 25-watt solar panels. Not really doing a whole bunch of research on solar and not really knowing a lot of things about solar and power in general. I just bought those from Harbor Freight, and I really thought those would do the trick. So initially what I did is I mounted one panel on top of the vehicle, on top of Black Betty here. I love Black Betty. I mounted one on top of Black Betty, and I thought that 25 watts while we were driving, and it would be connected to the vehicle. It would be connected from the vehicle to the trailer. I thought that it would do the trick. 25 watts should, be enough to keep everything charged during the day. It turns out that wasn't the case at all. 25 watts didn't charge squat. So when I came back, I said, let me take a little bit of time and start doing some research. I ended up buying a solar kit from Rich Solar. I bought a kit that included a 40-watt MPP controller, which is this right here. I decided to kind of upgrade the entire system, so that's what I've kind of been working on for the last couple of weeks. I added this 40-watt controller, which also has a Bluetooth module, which is kind of dope. And then you added some 120 outlets here for the inverter on the other side, and I'll take you over to the other side and have you look at it. Ultimately, what I want to do is I wanted to charge 2 ways, potentially 3. So the 2 ways would be that I have it set up right now, that I'm working on right now, is one with solar. I purchased a kit which has the solar charge controller and 2 200-watt panels. One of the panels will be permanently mounted right here. And right now, Matt and I are rebuilding the roof rack, so that's why the tent's not on it, but we're rebuilding it. The other solar panel is going to be mounted right here. We're going to build a stand. Matt's going to get some tubing and weld it onto the frame, but we're going to have a solar panel that's permanently going to be mounted right there. And the other one I'm probably going to mount on top of my vehicle while we're driving. And 200 watts should be plenty of power. And then the other thing is a DC to DC battery charger. So right now, currently what I have set up is in my vehicle, and Black Betty, yes, she does have a name. You have the primary battery and also a secondary battery. And that's set up with an isolator, so the primary battery will never be drained. It's only a one-way street. So that secondary battery is always charged. Let me see. Oh, no, it's unlocked. That's locked. I was going to show you real quick. Let me go get my keys. I'm back. So, unlock Black Betty. Excuse the mess. It's a little messy in here. Currently still working on some things inside of Black Betty, but we have a dual battery setup. You'll have this inverter, which has this a 0 gauge cable ran all the way up to that secondary battery, and we're also going to have more cable that we're going to use when we get the DC to DC charge controller set up and I have this running to here. So this is directly going to connect to this, right? And we ran it through. There's a little grommet in the fire in the firewall right down there, which is kind of cool. So, and that's going to there, and then from where that's gonna go, that's gonna be connected with a quick controller with this cable right to the vehicle. We have another one on this side, and that's how we're going to use that DC to DC controller. So you'll have two ways to charge as of today. You'll have your solar, and then you also have your DC to DC controller. DC DC basically means you're using the alternator to charge the batteries. One of the things that I'm a little bit worried about is the fact that let me set this up here. One of the things that I'm a little worried about is the fact that I have my alternator essentially charging 4 batteries. The primary battery, the secondary battery inside of the vehicle, and then these 2 AGM batteries that I have for back here. So I would probably need to do a little bit more research on to see what kind of alternator I have in my vehicle. Maybe need to upgrade that. Although these Toyota FJ Cruisers are freaking monsters, but I don't want to burn up my my alternator when I'm driving down the street. So probably look into maybe upgrading. Now I'm not sure how much that's going to be. Shouldn't be all that much. But let me show you the inside of this thing. And again, I am no expert. I'm an IT guy by trade. Been in IT since I joined the Marine Corps in '93. You know, some sort of IT, information technology. I was a radio operator in the Marine Corps, and then I just kind of got put into, you know, working on computers and stuff. So I am definitely not an expert when it comes to this power stuff. A lot of it is just research and watching what other people do, and then, you know, kind of fumbling my way through it. So please, if you see anything that's wrong or that you have suggestions on, you know, be more happy to hear them. Again, I'm not an expert. Let me climb my butt in here. Normally we don't use the inside of this to sleep, but I have my little whoopee here just so it's a little bit more comfortable. Woo! All right. So one of the things I got to do today is I'm still working on wiring up some of these AGM batteries. Are in here. I got them hooked up to a bus bar, which I've made myself. I'm a little proud of that. As you see, some of these screws are obviously not lined up. I actually bought this thing from Lowe's. Some sort of thing to use for wood to keep 2 pieces of wood together. But you know, I don't know. So I used it. I just drilled a couple more holes in it, and bought plastic screws. And the reason I bought plastic screws or plastic bolts is if I use some sort of metal bolt here, and for some reason if it moved or something, and if it hit the back of it, obviously that's metal, that would be really bad. So I just used a plastic bolt to make sure this is isolated from the back. So the back is just a plastic bolt. I'll put this little thing on here to make it look prettier, but this is the positive bus bar, and this is the negative bus bar. Still got some things to hook up, like I think I still got the solar panels to wire in. And then I think I'm pretty much done for now. Oh, I still got to hook up the battery indicator, the dual battery indicator, that's on the front of this. But besides that, I think I'm done. One of the things that I've discovered, one of the things I like to do is, again, I'm no expert, but I figured this out. So if you buy these, and I bought like a 25 pack of these things, right? These are the little connector things that go for the battery connectors, right? This is kind of dope. Instead of using the wires and turning them into a circle and then put them on the bolt, yeah, don't do that. Use these. But one of the things that I've done is I've cut a little hole, like cut a little slot in them. See, I cut a little slot in them, right? Because if then what you can do is you can just use a pair of these pliers, and then you can just crimp them. And when you crimp it this way, it just goes right into it. You know, goes right into itself, and then it just holds the wires. And of course, it's ugly as crap. So then all I do is I use some of this heat shrink. So when you use the heat shrink, you can't tell that you cut the inside of this because it looks factory, right? It looks great. You can't tell. So always use heat shrink. Besides the fact that it looks much better. One of the things that I have to do, because I don't want to, you know, I'm balling on a budget, so sometimes I'm not able to use the right color wires because I just don't want to go out and buy, you know, a couple more feet of 0 gauge red wire. I go ahead and use black for positive, but what I do to identify is I just put a different color heat shrink on it, right? So like you have a red color heat shrink, or you have a black. So here, specifically here on the positive side, right, I use the red from one battery to another. So I have these set up in series, and then I use this wire to go to the negative bus bar, or to the positive bus bar. But this is a black wire, but I just put a red heat shrink on it. That way I can identify this as being positive. And I've done that in other places too. You know, just to make sure that I identify. All these are black, and this is the negative bus bar, but obviously none of these have red on them because this is the negative bus bar. You know, so it's just another way for me to identify if this is positive or negative, if I really wasn't paying attention. But I try to put, for the most part, if I have the right colors, I try to put the right colors. Now this one's obviously a red cable with a black one. This is not a positive cable. I wouldn't do that. If I have a red cable, I keep the red cable, but for the most part, I try to use the right stuff. So, but again, I'm not an expert. I'm on a budget. That's just kind of what I try to do. Let me see. This is I bought the Renogy battery charger, or the DC to DC battery charger. This thing's kind of cool. Like I said, it enables you to charge these dual batteries with your alternator. I still got to hook that up. I'll probably work on that today. Maybe here in a couple minutes I'll do like a little time lapse and show you guys how my little workflow on how I make these cables. So let me get to it. Love you guys. Finally got this hooked up. Got to figure this out. Not 100% sure what all these are, but the cool thing about the Renogy, let me see, close all this. They have, this is Rich Solar, but it's basically just using a generic Bluetooth controller. And it's showing you that since it's blinking blue that it's connecting. Let me see. Connecting. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, horrible. You can barely see it. Is it connecting? Still says connecting. Let me see. Solar panel normal? Well, that's because it's not connected. But I mean, this is kind of cool, right? Right now it tells you capacity is 53% between the two batteries, which it would be nice to be able to do that on a separately, be able to tell me how charged each battery is. Although I think, again, I'm not an expert at this, but I think the batteries, they level load, which means that they would be the exact same voltage on all two batteries. So I guess I don't need to hook this up and connect them to the two separate ones, because they should actually say this exact same voltage, but I'll test that out. The temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. It also gives you, day by day, which is kind of cool. Shows you what the battery draw is if you're out in the wilderness and camping or whatever. So yeah, this is kind of cool. Like I said, I still gotta figure all this out, but at least now it's hooked up. And I will be working on hooking up my DC to DC controller. Like I said, I've already wired it into the battery itself. The only thing that I have to do now is hook this up, this side, which is gonna go directly to the battery. Hold on, I had to stumble here for a second because I was trying to think. This side goes directly to the alternator side, which runs from here through here, down here, through down here to this, and this is gonna run to the vehicle. And I can see I got another connector right there, and that's what this is for. But I went and bought more of these connectors, and I got to do that today. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So more wires. I gotta clean this place up. This is a mess, hot mess. Yeah, I've been doing nothing but freaking working on this stuff, so it's kind of a mess. But I showed you earlier, this is a kit that I bought. It's got all these different gauges in it, which is kind of cool, and it comes with a heat sink. I bought this on Amazon, which it's really cool. Instead of just buying individual ones, which some of these are like a freaking $1, I bought this whole kit. Had 30 things in it, 30 different ones for like 20 bucks or 25 bucks, I think. It's worth it if you ask me. But this is the inside. Shows you with the lights. Actually, I'll turn the lights off, but this is where the lights are, and got the slider for the fridge and all that. But let me keep working on this, and I'll check in with you guys later.